Mr. Mohsen, thank you very much for joining in from Isfahan. I'll begin by asking you how is Donald Trump's 48-hour ultimatum being interpreted within Iran's strategic community? And what do you also make of his cryptic Tuesday 8 p.m. message? Does it signal a diplomatic opening or imminent escalation?
Um, Actually, I should say because in Trump's newest tweets, there were different points. You know, he has used vulgar language and also threatenings, and also he talked about again about making deal with Iran. First of all, I should say that Trump's profanity and insults in his posts on Truth Social were not surprising or shocking to me at all. He's known as one of the most notorious figures associated with Epstein Island files and among the most corruptive individuals linked to it, accused of child abuse and other crimes, and with his name repeatedly appearing tens of thousands of times in those documents released from the case. But then I should say, in this war, he's seen as a driver of killing of women and children, and insults and threats are nothing compared to that. And Trump may issue threats in virtual space, but we Iranians know that in reality, we can turn the region into a living hell for the Zionist regime, for American interests in the region, and for the rulers who follow Trump's agenda. Then we will take back all money needed to repair our infrastructure, then more aggression and bombardment will mean more severe conditions for them in the Strait of Hormuz and the region, especially for the Zionist regime. Simultaneously, he is talking about negotiation or doing deals or making Iran to do deals or negotiations. I should say, how can it be possible or even logical for Iran to engage in negotiations or deal with the United States while Iran, through repeated victories on the battlefield and continuous military and narrative defeats inflicted on the United States, is consolidating its position and conditions. Why do you think that Peter Seth has fired 8 generals? Because Iran is neutralizing all American measures, and these generals were unsuccessful in the battlefield, or even opposite Texas and transatlantic plans, resulting in American soldiers' death and destroying American facilities. Then I believe that the United States, because the United States has been so incapable of advancing its objectives and managing the war, that Trump has resorted to profanity and explicit threats of committing war crimes and destroying Iran in order to push Iran toward the negotiation table. But this will not work.
Mhm. And Mr. Mawson, if the US proceeds with infrastructure strikes, what would be Iran's likely first line of response? We have all seen that Iran has warned it will respond in kind. So, what is specific US linked infrastructure and interests could be targeted in such a scenario?
Um, from the first day on, Iran has talked about eye for eye, tooth for tooth. But what I believe in these phases of war, I believe that Iran will retaliate very harsh and, do really devastating attacks, better to say, responses to American interests, American troops, and as I said, Zionist regime and also American interests in the region. In this case, I don't think turning the region into a burned field, a burned ground, is a kind of wise choice for Americans. Then what I believe is that Trump is always, creating narratives, threatenings in order to make mental war, in order to make cognitive warfare. But this will not work. I mean, Iranians, we are men of action, not just being in virtual world and claim virtually.
Mhm. And Mr. Mohsen, there are also reports that U.S., Iran, and a group of regional mediators they are discussing the terms for a potential 45-day ceasefire that could lead to a permanent end to the war. What do you want to say on that reports? And do you think that there is still space for negotiations?
Mhm. Of course, our friends or the mediators in the region, they have started their mediation from the first day on. But as I said, we are consolidating our targets and our conditions within the battlefield. Then coming to the negotiating table is no option for Iran at this moment. And all these news just going around within medias, these are just propaganda. And there is no need that Iran leave its, better hand within this war. No negotiation, no ceasefire will happen even for this period of time that would that said 45 days or so. We will not lose our achievements just for a ceasefire, which means building up American and Zionist capabilities again and do such aggressions against Iran. I believe Iran will continue this war until the settlement, establishment of our targets and conditions in the region.
Mr. Mohsen, thank you very much for speaking with us. And since I told you in the beginning, this is a developing story, I might reach out to you again. Maybe tomorrow morning also we can talk after Trump has addressed. So I'll get back to you once again, and thank you so much for your time. I'll
Yeah,
send
you're
you all the
welcome.
links. Thank you so much.
Thank you.